happy Capricorn season and happy winter solstice. The sun moves into Capricorn Thursday, December 21st at 7:27 p.m. in Los Angeles. And this video I'm going to talk about Capricorn season, and it also coincides with the winter solstice, which is the birth of the divine sun, meaning the days are going to progressively start getting longer finally at this time of the year. And Capricorn season, it's a Saturn ruled sun, and so Saturn, who's the great disciplinarian and authoritarian of the sky, he's all about getting serious and making our long-term plans and goals. So actually the winter solstice is more cosmically a better time to set our intentions for the future than even January 1st, which is kind of like an arbitrary start of the year. So anyway, I digress. One of my friends, after the last video I posted, was telling me that she was like, you should do your real personality from the beginning of the video. She said I didn't start being myself until 3 minutes in the last time. And I appreciate the feedback. Actually, I appreciate feedback from anyone. So sometimes I get nervous and I think I get a little stiff. But anyway, I'm going to talk about the transits that are taking us to the new year, and then I'm going to come back at the end of the year and talk about like the first couple weeks of the new year. But yeah, and I'm only going to post 3 to 5 minutes on Instagram, and the whole video will be available on YouTube. But let's get to it. So the sun ingresses 7:27 p.m. and I already talked about that. And on the 22nd is going to be the Mercury Cazimi. So Mercury has been retrograde, and the Mercury Cazimi is when Mercury is in the heart of the sun. And Mercury is the planet of our intellect, how we think, how we speak, how we listen, how we learn. So Mercury at the heart of the sun is like this clarity of thought. So likely you've been going over things like business matters or practical matters, or what your long-term goals may be for the future. And maybe you've been reflecting or kind of going back over things, reviewing things, and reworking, maybe restructuring. And at the Mercury Cazimi on December 22nd, it's like there's this clarity of thought, like we know how we're going to move forward on those matters come the new year. However, Mercury is about to go back into Sagittarius, so it's not time that we're going to act on that clarity of thought right now. We're now putting that aside, knowing we're going to deal with it come January 1st, and now we're going back into the Sagittarius area of our chart. And this is taking us back to Thanksgiving weekend. And think about, what were you talking about? What were the communication issues that were coming up? What were the conversations? What were the texts? What were the emails? Were there any agreements or contracts that you were working on? All of these kinds of communication issues from Thanksgiving weekend will now come up after the Cazimi, from when, around the 22nd until the last day of the year. And so that's kind of what's going on with Mercury and the Capricorn and Sagittarius area of our chart. And then on December 26th, the sun in Capricorn is forming a trine with Saturn and Pisces. And I love this aspect. It's a sextile, so it's creating an opportunity. And, you kind of have to recognize the opportunity sometimes to receive it. This is in the Capricorn section and Pisces section of our chart. And a lot of this has to do with being, there's an opportunity here to bring form and structure to the dream. There's an opportunity to bring the dream into reality. This can also be a very creative aspect. It's very fertile. There's an opportunity to grow something here. There's an opportunity to kind of like fertilize and grow the dream, or for creatives, because Pisces rules things like music and dance and drums and So there's also an opportunity to bring structure and form to a creative idea that's emerging. And there's also the side of Pisces that has to do with like healing, and so I think that there's also like an opportunity to create like a long-term like regimen to heal, to get better. And so these are all the types of manifestations, and there's more, but I'm just kind of giving you the ones at the top of my head. And at the same day that that's happening on the 21st, on the 24th, Christmas Eve, Mars in Sagittarius is forming a trine with the North Node in Aries. And so there's a lot of passion and inspiration to shoot for our target, to go for the big vision. And there is a lot about like, you know, a lot of passion and inspiration around our belief systems. On a personal level, it'll be like more about like your goals and your personal vision, and feeling like, you know, maybe like fuel is on the fire to go for that stuff, or that you just like have a hunger to act on your desires, and it's about a new start, and there's a lot of like things taking off really quickly, and there may even be some risk involved. Things are moving fast, and there's a lot of inspiration and passion and action. On a collective level, for, you know, you see a lot about, this is like championship energy, like winning the championship. This is hero energy, and competitor, strong competitor energy. So it's really super fiery, super passionate, super inspired kind of energy going on. And on the 26th is the full moon in Cancer. This is a beautiful full moon in Cancer. It's very homey and family oriented and cozy and security oriented. I love this full moon because it's trine Saturn in Pisces, and so there's a lot of emotional support happening here, a lot of generosity and compassion and empathy. There's an abundance of love, I feel like, that's happening here. And so I really love this new moon. And then it's also, I mean, it's a full moon. So it's bringing a culmination, and it's bringing an illumination around home, around family, around security, around all of these kinds of issues. You know, your bloodline, your and the Jupiter, the sextile to Jupiter, I feel like is bringing in just abundance, good luck, prosperity. It feels like really yummy food, all of that kind of stuff. And then, you know, again, there's more to these transits, and if you contact me for your own personal reading, I can take you through specifically where it's in your chart and how it's manifesting in your chart. On the 27th, the Sun in Capricorn forms a trine with Jupiter and Taurus. So Jupiter is being activated again, the great benefic, the planet of grace and good fortune, in Taurus, a very abundant sign as well. And so the Capricorn Sun trining with Jupiter and Taurus, it's so abundant. It's an earth trine. So something is manifesting in the real world. This is gifts. This is money. This is food. This is something tangible and just luxurious and comforting, maybe financial. The same day Mercury is conjunct Mars in Sagittarius. And so there's also the planet of the intellect joining with the planet of desire, and also the planet of fighting sometimes. You know, people can be feeling feisty about what they believe in, feisty about what their passions are. And there's a sense of really knowing what your target is, what your goals are, what you're shooting for in your vision at this time, and the energy to go for it. On the 28th, December 28th, Mars in Sagittarius is forming a square with Neptune and Pisces. This is very powerful, potentially very dangerous energy. This energy, fair warning, it can bring up suicides, it can bring up overdoses. But just where there's already a vulnerability for that, I'm not just saying that's just going to come out of nowhere, probably. In general, this is really crusade type energy. People, crusading for their beliefs, religious beliefs, spiritual beliefs, people coming into conflict over spiritual beliefs and religious beliefs. There's martyrdom energy that's happening here. There can be violence over belief systems, and it's not just religious and spiritual belief systems where this transit comes up. That's the most common way it manifests, but it can be, that we are feeling on a personal level internally conflicted about our own belief systems, not just around spirituality and religion. It can be around relationships, it can be around marriage, it can be around like how we live in the world. It'll manifest for different people. It can be, but sometimes we become imprisoned by our belief systems of how things are supposed to be, and we don't even believe that it's a belief system. We think it's just the way things are because it's so deeply ingrained in us. And so this can be a time where we have to confront that within ourselves. Like, what is something that I believe about the way that life is? It's just a belief system. It's not necessarily real life, and maybe there's an opportunity to free ourselves from that. But it can also be coming into a conflict with another person over belief systems, which can create, a fight or even potentially violence in some situations. And so it's an interesting aspect. I could do a whole video for 10 minutes on this aspect alone, so I'm just touching on it. But if you're interested in knowing more about it, again, contact me for a reading. The same day, Venus is forming a sextile to Pluto, which can be very sexual energy. It can also be very creative energy, very fertile, very deep and dark and transformative energy going on there. On the 30th, Jupiter stations in Taurus, and this is bringing a lot of grace and good fortune to the end of the year in particular, and I think that there's a lot to look forward to in the new year as Jupiter moves forward. I think a lot of people have been thinking, oh, Jupiter's in Taurus and I haven't gotten all the blessings and abundance that transit promises, but Jupiter's been retrograde for a few months, and so there's been some internal cultivation having to go on in order to receive these tangible blessings that I do believe that Jupiter in Taurus is going to bring us in the new year. And I'm going to do another video on this specifically before the new year because it deserves its own time to just talk about those transits. But yeah, in general, I love that Jupiter is stationing at the end of the year. I think it makes for a very auspicious end of the year and beginning of the year. And on New Year's Eve, the moon moves into Virgo, which is a very purging, cleansing, organizing kind of energy for the last day of the year. It squares Venus in Sagittarius at the same time as it's opposing Saturn. So I feel like there is a push-pull, a tug-of-war between partners, maybe, of whether to go out or stay in or that kind of thing. And then the opposition to Saturn is maybe, that day, it can cause some tension between the big picture and the details. Anyway, I don't want to go too far down a rabbit hole with that. But ultimately, the moon trines Jupiter on New Year's Eve, and so that brings a very kind of jovial, sweet, fun energy to the evening. And I just, I'm coming to the end of the video. I'm just going to end it there. I'm going to come back at the end of the year and do another video. I'm trying to just get it done rather than having to be perfect. Please contact me for your own personal reading. That's how astrology works best. Follow me on Instagram at astrology.tarot.Eliane Nicole, and you can email me at empresseliane@gmail.com to get on the calendar, and you can hit the contact button under my profile bio on Instagram, and it'll take you straight to that email to contact me. You can hit me on DM on Instagram to schedule a reading too. I don't mind if that's easier for you. But I definitely encourage everyone to get on the books for a 2024 overview reading. We can look ahead at all the transits of 2024 and the timing, look at what the big themes of the year are, what the challenging points are, what the most auspicious opportunity points are, and it's just such a great tool of self-awareness and self-discovery to get to know your chart. And I love doing readings. I would love to read your chart with you. So please definitely contact me for a reading. And yes, have a wonderful winter solstice. Have a wonderful Christmas. And I'll be back again with another video before the end of the year. But in the meantime, definitely book your own personal reading with me. Thank you for joining me. See you soon.